The death toll in the Indonesian tsunami rises to 373 as the rescue and recovery work continues.
Teams from the military and the search and rescue teams are here clearing away the rubble to make way for what will be a slow rebuilding process here.
But even as they search, there are warnings that another huge wave could hit coastal areas as the Anak Krakatoa volcano continues to seethe. Gunmen storm a government building in Kabul, killing at least 28 people and wounding 20 more. Another bruising day on Wall Street as stocks closed down on the worst Christmas Eve trading day ever, and President Trump once again attacks the Federal Reserve. And we'll take you live to the Vatican City, where the Pope is holding Christmas Eve Mass. Hello and welcome to BBC World News Today. Indonesia's disaster agency now says 373 people were killed by the tsunami that swept through Sunda Strait on Saturday. More than 1,400 people have been injured, 128 remain missing. Thousands of people who live on the islands of Java and Sumatra were forced to evacuate up to higher ground. There are warnings that more eruptions at the Anak Krakatoa volcano could trigger more deadly waves. Rebecca Henschke reports.
Rescue workers clear away the rubble in a race to find any survivors. Today, in this villa, none have been found.
Villas like this one built right on the shore didn't stand a chance when the huge waves hit. This, the state of the swimming pool and the villa now. Teams from the military and the search and rescue teams are here clearing away the rubble to make way for what will be a slow rebuilding process here.
The tsunami hit this popular local tourist destination at night without warning. The National Disaster Agency admitting their tsunami detection buoy system has been broken since 2012. When President Joko Widodo visited to inspect the relief effort here, he faced some tough questions and vowed to do better.
We don't know yet for sure where the source of the tsunami was. It's still being checked. In the future, the relevant agencies will provide detection equipment, systems that can give a warning to everyone.
That comes too late for these families, here to find loved ones amongst the dead. Those identified taken away in ambulances. Others, like this man, are still searching.
We're not at peace. We just want him returned to us in some way. We are preparing ourselves to accept the worst.
The vocalist of the band 17 that was performing on stage when the tsunami hit is here to put his wife to rest. Posting this video on social media, he says, "We're traveling again together, my love." Authorities are warning it may not be over yet, telling people to keep away from the beaches due to fears that ongoing activity from the Anak Krakatoa volcano could trigger a new tsunami.
Well, to get a sense of how likely another wave could be, I spoke with Dr. David McGarvey, who's a volcanologist at Lancaster University.
The volcanoes are quite unstable because we've already had the collapse, and what appears to be happening is we have a new vent that's opened up that's interacting with seawater, a lot of evidence from magma and seawater interacting, and the explosions may well destabilize the volcano even further and cause another collapse. But this was actually quite a large collapse, the one that took place. I would hope that any future collapse would be much smaller in magnitude and create much smaller waves.
Let's hope that is the case for very obvious reasons. I mean, part of the things we've been trying to get our heads around over the last couple of days is this lack of warning. Explain to us why there wasn't. Why is it so difficult to get a warning system in place for an event like this?
First of all, it's unlike an earthquake. This is extremely sudden and unexpected. There's no warning at all when a volcano like this collapses. And I think, secondly, there's a very short distance from where the wave is generated at the volcano itself to the coastline. In some cases, only 20–30 minutes of warning could possibly be given. But as you've heard in your report, the actual warning buoys that would detect a tsunami wave are not working. So that has to be a priority, to get those working again and get the proper monitoring in so that adequate warning can be given to people on the coast that a tsunami wave might be on its way.
So if, in your opinion, if those warning systems were in place, even if it is just 20 minutes, 30 minutes, that would be crucial to try and get people away from the coastline and make a difference?
Absolutely. If there's a good warning system in place, 20 minutes warning is enough, particularly for a wave of this type. It was only about 3 meters high, but it went in quite a long way because the land is quite shallow and gently sloping. But 20 minutes is enough for people to get well out of the way, and you know, many people would have been saved had that emergency system monitoring been in place.
People are used to this idea of earthquake and then tsunami wave. People less so on this idea of what happened in this instance with the volcano. How common is it in that area?
Volcano collapses are very common. They're much underreported because most of them happen in places where people may not be affected, although there's some very good records of deaths occurring from collapses of volcanoes. In any young volcano like this that's growing, it's going to be inherently unstable, and you know, collapses can be expected. I think it's been very fortunate that there's not been a collapse before now from Anak Krakatau, but collapses in the future are now more likely because the volcano is already unstable.
How's Dr. David McGarvey there. Next, at least 28 people have reportedly been killed in Kabul after reports of multiple explosions in the vicinity of 2 government ministries. The attack started with a suicide car bomb blast near the entrance. Gunmen then stormed a building. Afghan security forces have now reportedly rescued more than 300 people held hostage by the militants. The BBC's Kabul editor, Shoaib Sharifi, gave us this update.
We know that after 7 hours of a gun battle, the area has been cleared off completely, and the attack that happened just before the home time for the civil servants in this government building, and as reported, 2 multiple explosions followed by gun battle. The Interior Ministry spokesperson said 7 people were involved in this attack. The first 3 detonated the explosives at the entrance gate, and then 4 others entered. The operation took 7 hours in room-by-room clearing up operation. It was a fully packed government building, a department for the disabled, and in the very first attack, as it happened, 200 employees were rescued from emergency exit, but 350 others. In fact, it took 7 hours until they were safely taken out of the building. During the attack, in fact, the people who were trapped, they had taken refuge into toilets, into basements, into corners, and 2 of those people who were caught there contacted me and said how terrified they were. In these buildings, there were children, women, and some people who were customers of this department had referred that day. In fact, the attack shocked Kabul residents. In fact, after some few weeks of quiet, this happened right in the heart of the city, not very far from the presidential palace and Ministry of Defense. In fact, after quite some months, this is the first car bomb attack, because a few months ago, the Interior Ministry introduced several layers of checkpoints and K9 sniffing dogs that sort of prevented big car bombs inside the inner circle of the city, but this one came as a big shock.
Shoaib Sharifi there in Kabul. Next, US financial markets have closed down a further 2.8%. The drop follows the worst week for American stocks in a decade. Earlier on Monday, President Trump took to Twitter to blame the US central bank, the Federal Reserve, saying it does not have a feel for the market. He tweeted, "The Fed is like a powerful golfer who can't score because he has no touch. Well, I've been speaking to our business reporter, Samira Hussain, about why the president would be attacking the Federal Reserve.
This is a criticism that we have heard from the president many times before. We've been seeing that the stock market has been falling over the last several weeks, and the president really blames the Federal Reserve and their policy of raising interest rates as a big reason for these falls. Now remember, President Trump has invested a lot of political capital into how the stock market does. So remember, back in 2016, immediately after the presidential election, and in 2017, we saw a lot of record highs on U.S. markets. Well, in 2018, we have not been seeing the same thing. And a big part of what the president believes is the problem is, in fact, is at the Fed, which has been reflected in that tweet.
And if it is the Fed, or even if it isn't, what are the other possible reasons that we've seen this dip over the last week?
Well, in the case of what happened today, we saw a pretty significant plummet on the Dow Jones Industrial Average, down some 650 points, almost 3%. And that has to do with what happened over the weekend. We saw that the U.S. Treasury Secretary, Steve Mnuchin, in a bid to really try and calm the already jittery markets, put out a statement saying that he spoke to the 6 of the largest U.S. banks, and don't worry, they have plenty of cash on hand to shore up the U.S. economy if need be. The only trouble is that U.S. investors weren't worried about that at all. So all Mr. Mnuchin really ended up doing is perhaps injecting even more fear, because they weren't worried about that before, and now U.S. investors are left thinking, well, what is it that we don't know that Mr. Mnuchin does?
Samira Hussain there in New York. OK, let's take a look at some of the other stories making the news now. A US judge has ruled that North Korea must pay $500 million in damages for torturing and killing the American student Otto Warmbier. He died last year, days after being released from a North Korean prison. He was arrested in January 2016 for stealing a propaganda sign. Pyongyang has always dismissed claims of torture. Israel is to hold a general election in April, 7 months before it's due. There's disagreement within Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's coalition over a bill relating to ultra-Orthodox Jewish men serving in the military. The Prime Minister has only a 1-seat majority in the Israeli parliament, and he's also under pressure over a series of corruption investigations. The body of a 7-year-old migrant girl who died after being detained by US border agents has been returned to Guatemala. Jacqueline Carl and her father were in a group of more than 160 migrants who handed themselves in to US border agents in New Mexico on December the 6th. She died less than 48 hours later. A court in Pakistan has sentenced the former Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif to 7 years in prison on corruption charges. The Accountability Court in Islamabad had indicted Mr. Sharif in August 2017 for holding assets beyond his known sources of income. Mr. Sharif's supporters say the case is politically motivated. Shamala Jafri was in the court for us.
The atmosphere at the Accountability Court in Islamabad was highly charged, and as soon as the decision was announced, Mr. Sharif was arrested from the court's premises. Some of his party leaders and his supporters who managed to sneak in despite exceptionally high security were also present in the court. They started chanting slogans as soon as the decision was announced. It was part of an ongoing investigation which started following Panama leaks. Mr. Sharif appeared before the court 134 times during the hearing of these cases. He has always maintained his innocence and claims that these cases are politically motivated. However, the prosecutors claim that Mr. Sharif failed to present money trail for his assets. Today, the Accountability Court has sentenced Mr. Sharif to 7 years imprisonment and $25 million fine, while he was acquitted in another reference pertaining to a flagship investment company.
The grim verdicts against the politicians that were announced in Pakistan today were an addition to another dark chapter in the history of the country. We respect the courts, but the public and the history will not accept this decision.
Security outside the court remained on high alert. Almost 1,000 troops were deployed in and around the premises, and a large number of Mr. Sharif supporters and journalists were not allowed to enter the court. Analysts in Pakistan don't expect a widespread protest over Mr. Sharif's arrest, but they believe that it is definitely going to impact and reshape the political landscape of the country.
Well, that's the latest from Pakistan. I just want to take you live now to the Vatican City. This is the scene. Pope Francis holding Mass in St. Peter's Basilica in the Vatican as Christians celebrate the traditional day, of course, of Jesus' birth.
I am your food. Jesus gives us himself.
And we'll bring you lots more from the Vatican City throughout the evening. Do stay with us here on BBC World News, still to come. One of the best-known Christmas carols is 200 years old. We'll hear about 2 centuries of Silent Night.
The world of music's been paying tribute to George Michael, who's died from suspected heart failure at the age of 53. He sold well over 100 million albums in a career spanning more than 3 decades.
The United States troops have been trying to overthrow the dictatorship of General Manuel Noriega. The Pentagon said that it's failed in its principal objective, to capture Noriega and take him to the United States to face drugs charges.
The hammer and sickle was hastily taken away. In its place, the Russian flag was hoisted over what is now no longer the Soviet Union, but the Commonwealth of Independent States.
Day broke slowly over Lockerbie, over the cockpit of Pan Am's Maid of the Seas, nose down in the soft earth. You could see what happens when a plane 8 stories high, a football pitch wide, falls from 30,000 feet.
Christmas has returned to Albania after a communist ban lasting more than 20 years. Thousands went to midnight mass in the town of Shkodra, where there were anti-communist riots 10 days ago.
This is BBC World News Today. I'm Lewis Vaughan-Jones. The latest headlines. The death toll in the Indonesian tsunami has risen to 373, with warnings could hit. Afghan security forces have killed 3 gunmen who stormed a government building in Kabul, killing at least 28 people. Well, during this Christmas period, hundreds of thousands of litres of local brews will be drunk all over the world. In Zambia, the Munkoyo drink has been brewed and enjoyed for generations, but in recent years, simple mistakes in the production have had tragic consequences, leading some to question whether practices should change. Lokwesa Burak reports.
Munkoyo is a traditional drink that has been drunk for some time. I think it has been passed on from generation to generation. And this drink has been drunk mostly in Zambia, but mostly by people in the northern region. Munkoyo is made from maize meal. They will make the maize meal porridge and then put the roots in and let it sleep overnight.
And it's the addition of these roots that Dr. Abidan Chansa, president of the Zambia Medical Association, is talking about that have made the headlines in the country. The roots come from the plant known to be Rhynchosia venulosa, or Rhynchosia tota. But in common terms, it's snout bean or smelt bean. Known locally as Munkoyo, the roots are added during fermentation, giving it its unique identity and name.
The trees are quite similar, and if somebody is not experienced, they may pick different roots. And then these can even be sold. I think they can be sold at the marketplace.
So that's exactly where we're headed, Kitwe's Chisokone market.
I've been told I can find one of the essential ingredients, the roots, in here.
And it's here that things can start to go wrong.
Okay, so this is the root. So how do you know this is the good Munkoyo, and why?
We know the tree where this root comes from. There is only one type. So when we are digging it, if there is another root mixed together with this one, we are able to tell. we can identify the Munkoyo tree by its leaves.
I'll put some basala for you.
Although traders like Alice say they're experienced enough to distinguish the right route from wrong, not all traders are as careful or as skilled, and that can have dire consequences.
They tend to have diarrhea, abdominal pain, vomiting, excessive vomiting. Some of it, if the concentration is very high, it can lead to cardiac arrest, and then you can lose somebody. And if you use wrong routes, those routes can contain things like alkaloids, cardiac glycosides, which have got side effects, and these are the poisoning.
But putting aside the negative headlines, what is it about this drink that Zambians love so much?
People who drink the Munkoyo, it is believed that they will have strength.
So to stay safe and still enjoy Munkoyo, the advice is clear.
You cannot be 100% sure that this is the correct route. So my advice would be, the best I think is to use the seeds, millet or sorghum, so that we move away from using these ones.
Like many things, this traditional recipe is adapting over time, but the culture and tradition is sure to remain for generations to come.
I will never stop drinking Munkoyo because it's a traditional drink that has been passed on from generation to generation, and it's Zambian.
And let me add, it tastes rather good too.
Cheers.
Lukwesa Burak, BBC News in Zambia.
Next, pilgrims from across the world are gathering in Bethlehem on Monday for Christmas Eve. The BBC's Middle East correspondent Yolanda Nell is outside the Church of Nativity, where Christians say Mary gave birth to Jesus.
We've got international choirs entertaining the crowd, but also the Palestinian scout bands. Earlier, the scouts escorted church leaders who arrived from Jerusalem into Bethlehem ahead of the midnight mass at the Nativity Church, which is just over there. There's actually been a church on that site since the 4th century, so that gives you an idea of how long Bethlehem has really been reliant on religious tourism for its economy. And according to the Palestinian Ministry of Tourism, this has been a record year for the number of visitors who have come to visit Bethlehem. That gives people here something extra to celebrate, because often, of course, tourism does take a hit because of flare-ups in violence, because of the Israel-Palestinian conflict. Last year, a lot of parties were cancelled after President Trump recognized Jerusalem as Israel's capital without acknowledging Palestinian claims to the eastern part of the city, which the Palestinians want as the capital for their future promised state. Now, this year, people really do want to come out and party. They say that Christmas must be a joyful time, a happy time, and you can see plenty of evidence of that all around me here.
And sticking with the Christmas theme, the carol Silent Night is celebrating its 200th birthday. The carol was first performed in Austria in a village near Salzburg on Christmas Eve 1818. Bethany Bell reports.
It's one of the world's favourite Christmas carols. Silent Night, or Stille Nacht as it's known in German.
Okay. Oh, I think it's the best Christmas song ever.
It's familiar. We learned it when we were a child, and everyone sings it.
The carol is 200 years old this Christmas, and it comes from Austria.
This is where Silent Night was first sung on Christmas Eve 1818 in the village of Oberndorf near Salzburg. The original church doesn't exist anymore. It was badly damaged by floods at the end of the 19th century and had to be demolished. This little chapel was built in its place.
A priest called Josef Mohr wrote the words. He asked Franz Xaver Gruber, a school teacher and an organist, to compose the melody. According to legend, a church organ had broken down, damaged by mice chewing at the bellows, so they had to sing it with this guitar. But historians believe that the mice and the broken organ are probably just a myth.
It was with the guitar more people-friendly and with an instrument which was very common outside, of course, the church. You can take the guitar wherever you go. and therefore also the song itself was known very quick all around the world.
Silent Night quickly spread across Europe and onto the United States. It was sung across the trenches during the First World War. And for many people, it's simply the carol which means Christmas. Bethany Bell, BBC News, Salzburg.
Now, I can't go without checking in and telling you where Santa Claus is this evening. We can track him. He is arriving in Libya in about 3 minutes' time, so he's flying across Africa. Millions of presents already delivered. This tracking system is thanks to NORAD, the North American Aerospace Defense Command, which took a phone call in 1955 from a child asking where Santa is, so they decided to track them ever since, and we're doing that right now, arriving in Libya in 3 minutes. So please do keep watching. We'll have all the latest details at the top of the hour. Bye-bye.
Hello, thanks for joining me for this look at the weather around the world for the festive period. It's definitely looking very wintry across the Sierra Nevada for Christmas Day. Low pressure pushing in from the Pacific to California and Oregon will initially bring some wet weather to low-lying areas, but once that low pushes across towards the mountains, we're talking heavy snow, maybe a foot of snow in the space of just 24 hours, getting blown around quite a bit as well by the winds in association with the low, and that is going to really hamper travel for many people in this part of the world. Also looking at some lake effect snow pushing into the northeast of the US as well, some of the heaviest of that affecting Michigan. Central America will continue with its sunshine, a few showers for Belize, 1 or 2 heavier showers as well, just grazing I think into northernmost Cuba. Sunshine for Haiti, the Dominican Republic and Jamaica, however. Still some heavy rain around to the north of Brazil. Continued risk of some flooding here. Some heavier rain for Ecuador, southern parts of Colombia. And also a weather front sitting across Rio de Janeiro is going to make for a very soggy story on Tuesday. Much brighter skies as we look at northern Argentina. Things settling down a lot across Western and Central Europe in the next couple of days, but to the east it still looks pretty stormy. Some strong winds, some heavy snow pushing into parts of the Ukraine, maybe even blizzard conditions for a while. Some snow for Western Russia, but the rain at least beginning to clear from Greece and Turkey. More heavy showers for Tanzania and Zambia on Wednesday, Boxing Day. Further south, we've got a lot of sunshine for South Africa and some building heat for Johannesburg. Temperatures in the mid-30s, cooler, cloudier with a chance of a shower in Cape Town. Some of the stormy weather from Eastern Europe pushing across to the north of the Middle East by Wednesday. Some rain for Syria. Still plenty of sunshine, though, generally across the region. Sunshine for India too and Pakistan, but some stubborn patches of fog will linger across the northwest of India, and we could get some quite frosty conditions here again in the next few nights. Further south, some heavier showers possible for Sri Lanka. Moving further east into Asia, high pressure building out of Russia across China into the Korean peninsula is going to help some really cold air establish itself here in the coming days. Relatively mild for Tokyo on Wednesday at 13 degrees, but sub-zero temperatures for Beijing and around freezing in Seoul. Some heavier showers for coastal parts of Vietnam, sunshine across northern Thailand, but showers quite plentiful across Malaysia and Indonesia. Australia seeing a lot of dry weather, the showers increasingly contained to the Cape York Peninsula in the next few days. Heat building here, extending across South Australia into New South Wales and Victoria, up to 37 in Adelaide on Wednesday. For New Zealand, a clearing picture midweek.
Sometimes being in the driving seat is... She stayed in school. She's a... This isn't just playing sports. This is... the simple act of standing, and you're a... You don't need superpowers to change the world. 100 Women. A season of inspiring and challenging stories on the BBC.
2018 marked 100 years since the end of World War I. Around the world, events took place to remember those who made the ultimate sacrifice. In a special programme, we meet the families and communities who found poignant ways to commemorate those they lost. Remembering the Armistice. Available now on BBC iPlayer.
This is BBC World News, the headlines. The death toll in the Indonesian tsunami has risen to 373. Rescue workers are continuing to search for people trapped in the wreckage amid fears that another big wave could hit. At least 28 people have been killed and 20 more injured after gunmen stormed a government building in the capital, Kabul. Afghan security forces have reportedly killed 3 of the attackers. US financial markets have closed on the worst Christmas Eve trading day ever. President Trump has blamed the falls on America's central bank, the Federal Reserve. Christians and tourists from around the world are gathering in Bethlehem to celebrate Christmas. More tourists are expected this Christmas than have visited in previous years. Now on BBC News, one of the highlights of 2018 from our documentary series Our World earlier this year. The programme travelled to China to meet the online chat girls who earn thousands of dollars a day and have millions of fans.
Le Tao is a Chinese internet superstar. She sings, chats, and plays games with her fans online. In China's multi-billion-dollar live streaming industry, she is an online goddess for hundreds of thousands of young men, and they shower her with gifts of thousands of dollars every day.
如果某天我一无所有，身边还能这是真的，怎么说呢？也挺想见他的。
But there's always someone younger and prettier waiting to take her place. And the government is tightening the rules on what's allowed. And now she's fallen out with her manager. It's Sunday morning in Chengdu, an ancient city in the south of China. Now one of the country's new high-tech hubs. 24-year-old Le Tao is here for the weekend. She's visiting her family, who've recently moved to a new apartment in an upmarket neighborhood. Her dad has spent the whole day cooking her favorite food.
我以前小的时候，每次我不起床，然后爸就他们做的时候，就好像就会给我切一块，然后让我起床吃。
She's only home for a few days, but before she can relax, she's got work to do. Lele is a live streamer who makes her living by entertaining people on the internet via her webcam. She sings, plays games, and chats with her fans, and they can watch her for as long as they want.
像今天就是因为要比赛，他这个比赛就是每天都要比，他是有任务的，就是要是那个就断掉的话，可能就会名次就会往后。所以我今天在飞机上的时候，我姐姐就已经帮我把这些都布置好了。就是要调它的灯光颜色。18岁的时候接触直播，在我成年的时候，那时候我们大一的时候，大家还在想，哎，你毕业了会做什么？没有想过自己以后会一直从事这个行业，然后直到现在这么多年。
Lele is one of the most popular streamers in the country. Without a script, she entertains her fans until well past midnight. Her fans can interact with her, write her messages, and request songs. Her family are also now her fans.
发个群啊，啥子，给俺发个666啊，那些大哥刷的多嘛，给俺发个666啊，好玩儿，我觉得好玩儿。
我当时的时候，我还是比较反对他，但是这个事情呢，我说他妈比较说的多一些啊。我说你在家你怎么带你小孩带到一天的光玩电脑？
谢谢我梁哥。这首歌名叫做。
Lele started live streaming one day at her dad's office using just her laptop. It all seemed like just a bit of fun until she got paid.
我不可能吧？我说你一晚上你当我1个月的工资啊！我说我不相信。就他把那个钱到卡上，他们跟他们查到那个一看，哦，这个才相信。
只能怪这屋子太沉重，还留着我们。第1个月很清楚，我播了15天，我大概是拿到手是19000，在5年前19000真的是已经太多了。
Back then, that was 9 times the average monthly salary in China for just 2 weeks' work.
反正不是说为了挣钱不挣钱了，当然我就想了，我说，反正你只要高兴就好，你愿意做就去做呗。
做直播，我大概是拿到手个十百千万，6位数吧。哇，谢谢我杨哥送的魔法。
Some of her income is from playing computer games with her fans.
有这个，哇，谢谢我杨哥，直接帮我杀死一只狼。
Lola now has over 1 million followers all over China. The majority of them are men in their early 20s, many with money to spend.
谢谢，谢谢我梁哥，谢谢我袁哥。
One of her most loyal fans is 24-year-old Sha Ge. Just talking about her makes him nervous.
有点害羞啊，先喝口水。那是我第一次在我玩的那个游戏去看直播，当时乐乐作为一个主持人，在那个主持官方的活动，然后我就被他那个甜蜜的小声音啊，还有小面孔给迷倒了，然后就默默地关注了他。
And Lola remembers when Sha Ge started following her.
当时他就是进来的，但是在玩游戏嘛，跟我说主播你点首歌，
然后点张国荣的歌，因为我比较喜欢张国荣嘛。
是我还记得特别，哦不对，是明星。
然后他就不给我放，
因为我是属于那种很有气氛的主播，我不太喜欢说在我很有气氛的时候放一些很慢的歌，我就跟他讲，我说不好意思不放。
To get Lola to play the song, Sha Ge kept buying her more and more expensive virtual gifts.
我还记得他为了点这首歌给我刷了1万块钱，几年前4年前的1万块钱还是挺值钱的。
This is how streamers like Lola make so much money. Fans buy them virtual gifts in exchange for entertainment, a conversation, or sometimes simply for their attention. Live streamers can then redeem these virtual gifts for cash.
所以如果没有唱好，大家就是。
然后慢慢的，大概有半个月之后，我们加上了彼此的好友，然后就是一直到现在有了4年多的，就是一个这样的经历。
不是，我跟你们讲件事情啊，都是别的。
对他刷钱应该刷了10来万，差不多。哎，我也不是很清楚，因为充值的东西有的时候就是很任性嘛。
Just to be her online friend, Sha Ge has spent what the average Chinese person living in a city earns in 2 years. In China, the internet is tightly controlled, and live streaming is a much more significant phenomenon here than in the rest of the world. It's an industry worth $3 billion a year. One of the major hubs is Shanghai, where Lola lives, and where she's managed by one of the country's biggest live streaming agencies.
我觉得我对自己的长相都不是很满意，因为我自己以前就是喜欢做主持嘛，但是可能因为身高啊，或者觉得比如说各方面都不如那些就是明星，就可能你没有办法走到娱乐圈。然后12年我就开始进入到直播了。通过这样的一个平台，一台电脑，一个麦克风，一个声卡，然后一个视频，就可以传递自己喜欢的东西。我从来没有素颜过出现在镜头，真的可以吗？我很怕跳粉的。
The pressure to look good on screen is immense.
会有压力，因为你想现在的美女真的是越来越多了。我以前最长的时间直播的时候，一天可以达到10多个小时。因为我觉得就是别人长得已经比你更漂亮了，然后也比你更优秀了，然后我觉得自己要更努力，然后才会有更多人喜欢。我不排斥整容，但是其实做主播它不会有这么多讲究，因为什么？因为等会儿我会给大家讲，就是怎么样化妆去整容。比如说我们刚才说到眉毛，眼角也可以开的，鼻子的话会打一些侧影， 再上镜的话就会非常的好看。廖涛，你是最棒的 ，fighting！
Lala rents an apartment 5 minutes from her management agency MJ Entertainment. She's one of more than 3,000 streamers on their books. The CEO, Max, and his wife Xiao Wei spotted Lala shortly after she began streaming.
那有个很偶然的机会，就是我们在腾讯的这个平台上面去做一个节目。那我看一下小乐乐涛，她是挺有经验的。然后通过了第一次的合作以后，我就觉得哎，这个妹子其实特别的不错。当时我就开始去挖墙脚，就想把她挖到我们公司来嘛，挖到公司来。我记得当时我是花了11个她身边的朋友，去跟她说这个事情，最终好像是以5000块的价格买回来的吧。
乐淘的直播间大家好，我是乐淘，欢迎一下我们家瑞哥，来欢迎所有兄弟们。你们吃饭了吗？
来了以后呢，确实在我们的整个机构的和他自己的我们的培养和他的努力下，发展的特别快。我记得当时他刚来到我们这边的话，1个月大概是2、3万，几万块钱的收入，然后一直到他做到整个平台的第1名。
MJ Entertainment takes a 20% cut from their live streamers, although most of them don't earn anywhere near as much as Lala.
就我这一看就是，你们觉得我在你们心中是属于温柔的那种，还是性感的那种，还是比较可爱的那种，还是女汉子？现在很多人就觉得，哎，我直播的时候是不是就在那里唱唱歌呀，坐在那里就可以挣钱了？其实不是的，它其实有很多内容的。我觉得如果一直停留在这里，如果你每天去唱一首歌，然后你只会说几个段子，我觉得没有人会去看你，那粉丝也会非常的少。
And more fans means more money.
我们1个星期会安排，就是每天下午都会安排一节舞蹈课，还有其他的音乐培训课，然后也会有一些是新的新的一些主播，还有一些是之前有一些比较已经是经过这个工作的主播，就是老的主播，他会过来，相当于说我也想培训一下。
他不是这么性感，我干嘛穿这么休闲？
Looking attractive is crucial for live streamers, but when it first took off, some women took looking sexy so far that it was deemed pornography. The government quickly tightened the rules on what's allowed on screen. And now, Lala and other streamers know how far they can go. If they cross the line, they could be sent to prison and the streaming channels closed down. But this is just a warm-up. After the training, Lala will be live streaming for up to 10 hours, non-stop until midnight.
我拼了命的努力，我只想证明自己。现在这个社会，那些声音能看得起你，生活中的压力，它被我化作动力。
After hours of live streaming, Lala finally gets to eat her first meal at 9 p.m. She calls her mum to tell her about the highlight of the day so far.
哪个掏起来，掏起果子发死嘞。好的，妈妈拜拜，我们明天要爱你哦。这些粉丝跟你去聊天啊，他们对你的一种认可，而且他们对你的一些就是宠爱吧，让我觉得好像，其实我就慢慢的觉得自己好像挺可以的啊。
It's not just Lala who feels good. Fans who spend a lot buying her gifts also enjoy the admiration and respect they get from other fans for the amount they're spending.
主播跟他的观众啊，他之间实际上是有互动的。所以即使下面的人是几10个人，但是一个直播，他所表现出来的口吻，他所说的那种问候语，会让每一个人都觉得直接是对我说的，会让他感动，对吧？人只有在互动中的话，才会觉得我自己有存在的价值。有的土豪就是有钱的人，说就是我喜欢你，但是我要把你捧成一个万众瞩目的明星，我一下子打赏那么多的钱，对不对？
Even for those fans who don't spend much, live streaming can provide a sense of community, friendship, and family. And the industry knows this.
我们跟我主播培训的时候，我们就会说，你要把你的整个的粉丝团当成是一个家人。
他在我人生中的地位就相当于家人，就是一个家人，不掺杂，没有别的这些想法，就很简单。从一开始的偶像，到现在感觉，是这么一个亲人。
Shaga is an only child, like 200 million other born when China had a one-child policy. Decades of sex-selective abortions have led to a dramatic gender imbalance, a severe shortage of girls.
现在在我的是老家，就是第一个家，他那个被拆迁了。这个地方是一个挺有意义的地方。小的时候，爸妈都在工作，然后就跟爷爷奶奶一起住。
He spent his childhood in a small village just outside Shanghai.
有的时候会也挺孤单的，因为看别的小孩爸爸妈妈都在家，我爸爸妈妈都在外面，有的时候一年才回来1次2次的，就是这样子，有时候也挺想的。
The internet filled the gap.
90后差不多应该是电脑地带了。中学就开始玩网络游戏，到后面有了直播出来之后，我们就自然而然的就接触到了直播这一块。5、6年前就开始接触到直播这一块。
我是公民扣1好不好？不是还了我就踢出去的啊！
That's when Shaga met the woman he describes as his online goddess and started showering her with virtual gifts.
我父母知道就是我玩直播这一块，但是花不花钱他们应该不知道。
Over the years, Shaga has spent a lot of money on Lala. But still, for him, it's a real relationship. And for Lala too.
就是怎么说呢，网络上这东西关系也比较脆弱，有的都是利益之间的关系，觉得能相信一个人不容易，我觉得他挺相信我的，就有的话可以跟我说一下，帮他分享一下烦恼。如果有机会我也就是会，等一下。喂。他们傻。那现在怎么弄呢？你几点能播？那你不 OK， 那你再沟通一下吧。
It's Lala.
任性。
Lala's called Shaga to tell him about a problem she's having with her manager, Max, who wants her to sign a new 8-year contract.
你每次都这样忽悠我。忽悠你是吧？抽你1分钱啊？没有啊，那是你之前答应我的事。
我答应我了呢。
答应什么了？
To try to get her to sign the new contract, he promises to make a big investment in her, to help her record albums or get into films. But to get out of the contract early would cost Lala over $1 million.
你来找我也不是为了多赚一点钱嘛，对吗？那你就赚不就好了吗？
But Lala isn't happy, and the situation soon escalates. Behind closed doors, a huge fight breaks out between Lala and Max. He storms out and orders her channel to be shut down. A few minutes later, she rushes home in tears. He blames her mood.
那我们一般会对这种心情突然有问题的这些主播，我们会取消他当天的一个直播，等他心情恢复过来以后，然后再来让他以最好的这种表现形式来去进行他的直播。
But later, Max admits Lala is upset because of the contract.
因为乐乐淘的一份全新的一份合同，他没有去更新，所以说我们今天希望他去把这个合同更新掉。
Nothing is resolved, but neither side wants to push things too far for the moment. Still, superfan Shaga is worried about Lala.
直播这个行业就跟明星一样，对吧？也属于一个小娱乐圈，每个人都有好的时候，也有不好的时候。我希望就是怎么说呢？就是他好的时候我在，他不好的时候我还在，就是真的，怎么说呢？也挺想见他的。
So the next day, Shager orders a taxi to take him to Shanghai to meet her in person, but he's adamant his intentions are not romantic.
我从来没有想过，就是找乐乐做我女朋友，因为，不一样，就是亲情和感情是不一样的。
Halfway through the journey, he pulls over to a service station and checks in on her. He discovers that despite the unsigned contract, Lele is back on air. As usual, Shager requests a song and then sings along with her.
如果某天我一无所有，身边还能剩下几个朋友，你也从未远走，还能陪我一起喝喝酒。如果某天一无所有。他就是在你心中是一个明星的感觉，你去见你自己的偶像，多少会有点虚。我有女朋友，我女朋友也知道我看乐乐直播，但是她不知道我今天会去见她。我想跟她合照。
It took Shager 4 hours to get to the Bund, a romantic and iconic waterfront area in central Shanghai, where they've arranged to meet. But by the time he arrives, it's past midnight, and all the lights have been switched off.
对啊。
Lele is still at work live streaming, and Shager doesn't want to wait here.
好，你去公司吧。我想了很多话，但是呢，我估计等会儿见到他的时候，我一句话都不会说喽。
走吧。
They head off to a cafe near Lele's apartment, but the conversation is really awkward.
有什么好紧张的？我都紧张了。
你紧张什么呀？
It's rare for streamers and fans to meet in person, and they're both anxious.
我以为自己不会紧张，其实还是紧张。
等一下，你第一次见到我的时候，你会不怕失望啊？有没有那种感觉？
没有。
不是你有没有那种担心，就是万一他见到的和我想象中的那个人不一样，会怎么办？
没有。
真的吗？
没有，真的
就觉得认定我不管我什么样，就是反正认定就是觉得都可以是吗？
是吗？哦，是。
不是你别紧张啊。
哦。
他在网上是那种特别能聊的人，就是我说一句他可能会说10句，现实中好像我之前就是见陌生人的话，或者是怎么的话，我还是蛮紧张的，因为我们通过网上的视频嘛，展现出来的感觉可能跟现实中不太一样。其实现在其实没有了，我会觉得就在一块儿，大家都是亲人，我觉得无所谓，就是相当于你可以把你任何一面展现到这里。像明天他最喜欢吃了，他说想让我带他去吃个好的，然后明天带他吃顿饭吧，然后带他去逛一逛上海去的地方，觉得呢？
可以有，但是不要说我喜欢吃好吗？我只是爱吃。
They celebrate their 1 hour together with a selfie.
慢点啊。
Though they'd arranged to meet up the next day, they don't. Shager takes the taxi back home,
对拍呢。
and Lele goes back to her on-screen life.
谁能够指引我一条路，带我走上这段途？哒啦哒啦哒哒。好的，你吃吧，拜拜。
Hello there. We have very quiet weather for the festive period, dominated really by high pressure. But we start with some fog on Christmas Day, mainly for the eastern side of the UK, where we're in the colder air. Further west, it's much milder, southerly breezes dragging in a good deal of cloud. Overnight fog will linger through the morning, mainly across northern and eastern parts of England and into the Midlands, only lifting into low cloud. It's going to be a grey, misty, murky sort of day for many parts of the country. Some sunshine, perhaps more likely in northeast Scotland after a frost, and perhaps into northeastern parts of England again after a frost. But on the whole, a mild sort of day. Temperature's always going to be lowest across the eastern side of England with that slow clearance of the fog. Overnight temperatures shouldn't fall as low as we head overnight into Boxing Day morning. There won't really be any fog. It's mostly over the hills because there's going to be a lot of cloud. Towards the northwest, we've got a weak weather front arriving to bring a bit more drizzle into northwest Scotland and the Northern Isles. There's some dry but colder air here over the near continent. That may give us a better chance of seeing some sunshine across southern counties of England. Temperature still widely 10 or 11 degrees, pretty mild for this time of the year. Those weather fronts are pretty weak in the northwest of the UK. This is the main feature of the weather, this area of high pressure. That's centred more towards the near continent where the air is that bit colder. So it'll be a chillier start probably in the southeast of England on Thursday, but a bit more sunshine beginning to arrive here. And there may be a glimpse of sunshine more widely across the UK as the cloud begins to break up as we entrain some drier air from the near continent. It does mean temperatures probably won't be quite as high, especially across more southern and eastern parts of the UK, but still some double-figure temperatures for Scotland and Northern Ireland. Here we've got a bit more of an Atlantic influence. Again, weak weather fronts coming in from the Atlantic, coming into that blocking area of high pressure. So a fair bit of cloud around again on Friday. If the cloud does break overnight, there may be a pinch of frost, maybe one or two mist and fog patches, but on the whole it looks quite cloudy out there. A little bit of sunshine coming through now and again, and some weak weather fronts arriving into the far northwest. Those temperatures, again, 7 or 8 degrees across the bulk of England and Wales, a little bit milder for Scotland and Northern Ireland. And this rain that's coming in from the Atlantic actually around this area of low pressure here. This is the first significant one that arrives, and it arrives on Saturday. It's going to bring the rain mainly across Scotland, and it's going to bring some slightly stronger west to northwesterly winds. That may help to break up the cloud a little bit more, and perhaps we've got a better chance of seeing some sunshine, especially to the east of high ground. Still pretty mild air, mind you, and those temperatures across England and Wales should be higher on Saturday. As that weather system moves away, though, we've got a bit of a high pressure building in for Sunday. Next set of weather fronts arriving in the northwest, hence all the cloud and some patchy rain up here. But across England and Wales could start a little bit frosty, maybe some mist and fog patches too, but some sunshine coming through and those temperatures climbing to 9 to 11 degrees. So pretty mild. As we head into New Year, high pressure is still in charge of the weather across the UK. We're back to square one almost. These weak weather fronts toppling around that area of high pressure with some stronger winds across the northern half of the UK. This is the jet stream here. This is the orientation of it, so it looks like we're going to be on the milder side of that jet stream. Again, some chilly nights possibly, but I suspect we're going to fill in more with cloud as we head into the new year. There's still a chance of some frost and fog, and for most of the country, it's going to be fine and dry. That's it. Goodbye.
Who's dreaming of tech this Christmas? Indulge your inner geek. Click Christmas Special, Christmas Day at 10:30 on the BBC News channel.
This Christmas, follow the story on your new smart speaker. Just ask for BBC News. Get all the news you care about by personalising your app. And as you look forward to the year ahead, send us your questions via hashtag BBC Ask This. Follow the story wherever you are with BBC News.
Will it be big enough for big school? You will be, yeah.
Is it supposed to taste like?
Yes.
What does this even do?
Do we have any more shampoo?
Why doesn't he like me?
Do you think we'll win? Can I have
Easy.
a magazine?
What have I missed? Where's my other shoe?
Middlesbrough.
Can I get hair extension?
What is this?
Where's your charger? Why do we have day and night?
You can't have all the answers. And for the times you don't,
Where's the laptop?
there's BBC Bite Size.
the online learning resource.
This is BBC News. I'm Loquessa Burak. The headlines at 10.